This is the city of Florence, a project of mine that I've been working on for a number of years, I believe since 2012, 2011. It is 2020 right now, June, almost July 2020. An ongoing project that had developed from a really just a survival Minecraft Xbox 360 map that I had since expanded into creative, and I just wanted to kind of go into this city and just kind of understand the city. So this is currently, it is laid out as a quadrant style city, which is to say that right here this is um, Parc Piedmont, which is French for the Diamond Park, and on all four quadrants have different neighborhoods. So it is dusk right now, it's morning, and I just want to lay down, kind of the neighborhoods over here. So this right here is going in the direction north. Right here, this neighborhood is currently considered the Longbrook neighborhood. And as you can see, it's this kind of is some of the last vestiges of the older city, how Florence used to look. These were row houses that formerly existed. This used to be a whole housing project, really probably about this area, and a lot of that was torn down to make way for the new street layout. And you can see this is the Vieux Ville neighborhood, which in French, in English is Old City, so Old Town as well. Laid right next to the harbor, the Florence Harbor. As you can see, welcome to the city of Florence. And this is a lot of wood buildings because this is, it's an older style. This is how I made a lot of the buildings I had initially built, so that were built in this style. As you could see, this was all very forested. And so this, which was the former prison, kind of an Alcatraz-esque type thing going on there, it is no longer a prison. As you can see, it's kind of just been gutted out, and I'm really still contemplating what to do with this. But this used to be far removed from the city. You see, the city of Florence initially grew organically, and I want to start exactly where, this was right here, it's a copy of the original Florence Manor, which was the first structure I built in the city, located just very close around this area. This used to be just a little bit like four buildings facing a little bit of like a little fountain. There was a school once that I remember vividly, and then it just expanded. This, as well as unfortunately a building, the Unum Center, very very old building. I've had this for years now, but it is, as you could see, directly in the way of the new street that I had, built. Now, right now, this is what I consider the Southeast, the International District neighborhood, which encompasses all of the southeastern quadrant, extending into this peninsula, which is sort of a Manhattan-esque type thing going on. As you can see, this is as it stands right now, and it just kind of waves all the way through these rivers right here. Rivers which are, I believe, currently not named. And I want to go into Florence first. This is the East End, as it's called right now. So the East End, let me make clear that the cities of Florence are distinguished by their cobblestone streets right here. These streets, once you leave these streets, like this, for example, is another jurisdiction, which I've called Montlac, Mount Lake, because of the mountain and the lake that reside just over here on the far side. As you can see, the lake and the mountain. And this was laid out, as you can see later on, because of its very organized street layout, and in the park as well, which is part owned by Florence, as you can see, just very little, and then most of it by Montlac. and that's the East End. A lot of these buildings have been stylized and inspired by buildings that I have kind of run into in my life. So this, for example, is based off of a very famous and well-known North building over here. At least the top is. It's been restructured, and then these I want to just like point out are based almost 100% on the row houses that you're going to see in cities like D.C. and Baltimore and in that region. And over here you have a school. Over here you have just like a little like grocery store as well. Some very wealthy, nice high rises as well. Here as well as the school. This, as explained previously, this is also a different jurisdiction, which I'm considering right now. I'm not sure very much if I want to make this into another Florence neighborhood or if it's going to remain its own jurisdiction. Right now I have it almost as its own country. Now these countries they really predate a lot of development of Florence, so you could see the stark comparison between these newer developments. This is the northernmost neighborhood of Florence, a very posh neighborhood, very wealthy. And then this is, I'm not sure if this country has a name. It may, but really what it is just a very small island which I've made entirely in the style of red brick and wooden roofs, and that's really the entirety of what that country, quote unquote country, is. So that's, yeah, this is northernmost. Northernmost lays on this side of the ITS tracks. The ITS is the intercontinental train system, which is supposed to it's supposed to go across the entire map, really. And so this is Bordeaux, which is future development. I'm thinking another country entirely, but still debating whether this is going to be part of the Florence metropolitan area. I mean, I think this, of course, will be the Florence metropolitan area. This is going to be part of the Saint-Denis neighborhood, which I've developed over here. Now, Saint-Denis, as you can see, you have these typical row houses, and a lot of these housing projects over here, Rose House. And Saint-Denis is supposed to be, I don't want to do a church over here because this is largely absent. Florence initially had a church right in the center of the city, but I had to demolish it to make way for typically the new the new street layout. I apologize, it's very late, so I'm pretty tired. And then this also comes with its own train system, which is really in its earliest stages, unfortunately. Even though this has been a number of years in the making, I've kind of went back and redeveloped it over and over again. But as you can see, there's an example of a number of different trains. And I'm just going to take this train right now and kind of give you an example of a different neighborhood entirely. So over here, this is the Tuscany station, if I'm correct. And Tuscany is the central station of Florence. Over here you see like just a shopping center, kind of based off of Target and Best Buy, respectively. As you can see, it's the ITS station right here. And I'm just going to open you up to the Tuscany station. This is supposed to be a very wealthy neighborhood. And then Tuscany is, that's the station itself, and then a shopping center as well on the other side. Leading into that, that's a high school over there. We've kind of went over all these. And over here, we're just passing by the Southeast International District. Now this is, I think it had emerged as the kind of the crown jewel of the Florence metropolitan area. This is Manhattan, spelled M-A-T-T-O-N. And Manhattan is based off of New Jersey, even prior to me living out here and prior to me really familiarizing myself with the area. And as you can see, it's very, it's its own city. It's a distinct city from Florence. Here's the Manhattan Boardwalk, as you can see. Now, it has its own neighborhoods. There's the Mid-Manhattan Canal, which really divides the city from the East Manhattan, which is where I currently am. This is West Manhattan that I'm seeing right here. West Manhattan is far more dense, as you can tell. It has a substantial part of the skyline. And then you have East Manhattan. And East Manhattan, as you can see, are a suburban on this corner, but over here you've seen a large spike in development. And over here is supposed to be a university. Over here is supposed to be dorms, a fraternity of sorts, a small just like a midtown type thing. You have a Whole Foods type building over there. You have some very nice um, apartments as well as a little place to do, the Grey Goose Club, which is go down here and you enter over here and just kind of like a place for concerts, a place to dance, place in that respect. Over here is a bookstore. Then you have the Central Library. Over here, I believe that's the East Manhattan Station. I had to take down initially another station that I had left just over here by the Manhattan Boardwalk, just because it felt a little bit redundant. There's a station right here by City Hall. This is the Manhattan City Hall, and this is what I'm calling the Totten Central Station. It's still in the process of being developed. Very beautiful structure, but it's just not finished yet. And it's supposed to bring, a couple more trains to the area. I want to do one that kind of runs directly through the peninsula of, I think that's southeast Florence, the International District, and into Montlac. And Montlac also has a station of itself, and this really runs across the city. There's a blue line, the Montlac station, and over here you have stylized versions, different versions of the same typical row house structure, but I've kind of made it unique to Manhattan. Manhattan, as you can see, is, it's very fully developed, but there was previously more industry here, shipping yard, very, very small shipping yard. And then over here you kind of go into the poorer sections of Manhattan. This is, formerly I believe was the Unum Pike, because it leads directly into this beautiful view of the Unum Center. But right now it's the Queens Pike. I don't know if I'm going to change that or not. I may very well. And this is just kind of the poorer area, as you can see, a little bit more. But then you go on this side, and then Manhattan is a lot wealthier. You got nicer apartments over here. And this becomes a different city, really, entirely. Now that is really what I have for Florence at this point. There's a lot, every single structure has its own unique characteristics. For example, northernmost, this is kind of supposed to be the entertainment district of Florence, kind of circling the ITS tracks. But it's still in development, as you can see, kind of in the earlier stages of development. Only northernmost has been pretty substantially developed here. Over here, I want to just kind of point out the stark difference you have, because this is I don't know if I can pull up the name of this canal real quick. I may be able to, because I have this listed. But this is the Long Canal, because this is Long Brook, so this is a long canal, and it divides the very, very sparse divide of the wealthy northernmost neighborhood, newly developed or developing Long Brook neighborhood, and then this is Saint-Denis, which is supposed to be based a lot more on the Bronx and on low-income communities of the New York area. And that pretty much concludes what I have over here. I'm just going to list some of the neighborhoods right here. This is Canarsie, and Canarsie is really, it's just this part right here. It's not really a huge neighborhood, as you can tell, but it's developing as well. As you can see, it was formerly a lot of it formerly had the structures of the old Florence, how Florence used to be. Over here, this is Havre Hill, which is Harbor Hill, Havre in French. This is another rendition of the same row houses you see. Now, these row houses, I do believe have a name. I'm going to pull that up real quick, because they are really much like a style of the city, very, very distinguished Florence style row houses, as I've called them. And a lot of these buildings have come up in parts of my life where I see them on the streets, and I take pictures of them, and I try and replicate them over here in Manhattan or in Florence or in Montlac. And yeah, that pretty much concludes what I have over here. This is Florence, and it is a beaut. This, for example, I'm just going to leave it at this because I don't really know when I'm going to last in Florence or when I'm going to again see it, considering the way I've been. But this is based off of a building I saw out in the Jersey Shore, to be developed into a school. Um, some very beautiful architecture, very nice hotel, office type thing going on there. And then that is beautiful city of Manhattan right there. I'm very proud of this song, as you might be able to tell. And it is a work in progress. But I hope to at some point, if I be able to get this off of the Xbox 360, because I know my Xbox ain't gonna last forever, I'd like to save this and develop it throughout my lifetime. And just see really what it can come into, what it can develop into. I have kind of an interest in architecture. These are different nations entirely. This is kind of based off of a North Korea type. It's very impoverished, as you can see, very bleak, not very pleasant. You have guard towers everywhere. But it's stunning how much Madden and the Florence metropolitan area is emerged. They're used to, you wouldn't be able to really see any sort of development in that. You can see everything. And over here is another city in the nation entirely. And this is actually where the whole map started, so I think this might be a good place to end. This is Florence. This is, as I've had it named now for a long time, Respiration. And yeah, that's what I have.